Hi there. My name's Jaylin, and I'm one of the wellness consultants here at the Postgraduate Wellness Office. Today, I want to talk to you about how you might be feeling. Lately, as I've been talking to several of you, I've heard just how intense things are, how scary they are, how stressful they are, how frustrating they are, as well as how inspiring they are. And I realize that for a lot of you, you may be feeling like with COVID-19, you're on this emotional roller coaster where the highs are extremely high and the lows are exceptionally low. That can be really confusing and it can be really exhausting having all those different emotions coming at you at once. And what can end up happening is you can often find that you might be placing a lot of judgment on how you might be feeling. A lot of times we start to fall into these expectations about how we should be feeling or how we shouldn't be feeling, what's wrong with how we might be feeling, and we judge a lot of our emotions as bad or selfish. We can end up ignoring the feelings that we have that don't fit into that box of what we expect. Over time, this can weigh us down. We think that certain emotions are wrong, they're selfish, they're inappropriate, and in the meantime, what that does is we end up overlooking what those feelings are actually telling us, right? If you feel pressure to focus on certain feelings over others, if that resonates for you, I just want to encourage you to try to make space for all those different, complex, contrasting emotions. And one of the ways that we can do this is just by noticing how often we judge our feelings, right? And just break out of that should statement. I should feel this way, or I shouldn't feel this way. I used to work with somebody who would often say, it's okay to notice your judgments. It's okay to acknowledge that those are there. Just try not to judge yourself for having judgments. That's human. For those that might be familiar, there's a concept in dialectical behavior therapy, actually, the very fact of it, the dialectical component of it, which says that we can recognize having two opposing or competing truths at the same time. So it isn't one or the other, but it's both at once. How can we do this, right? What does it actually look like? How can we implement that? A common strategy is to catch ourselves whenever we're using the word but and to replace it with the word and. So instead of saying something like, I'm exhausted from work, but I'm so grateful to still have a job, we can say, I'm exhausted from work and I'm grateful to still have a job. In the first sentence, when you're saying but, you basically just dismiss that whole first part, right? So the exhaustion doesn't really matter because you have that gratefulness, right? You have that gratitude. So the exhaustion is kind of minimized by that. Whereas in the second version, it allows us to hold space for both of those feelings, right? You have a right to feel exhausted, and at the same time, you can feel grateful. Feeling grateful doesn't take away the exhaustion. Both are there, right? And what hopefully that does is it allows us to realize that we don't need to choose one feeling or one emotion over the other, right? I find that often this can take some time to get used to, right? It can be a tricky habit for us to break out of. So you can just start really just by noticing how often you use the word but when recognizing or talking about your feelings, right? And when possible, you can just consider replacing it with and. So whether you're talking to a colleague or a roommate or your partner or family member, whoever, you can just kind of notice how you can be having 2, 3, 4 competing feelings. They may not all be in a line, they may not all make sense, but they're all present. And you don't need to kind of place a hierarchy of one over the other. Similarly, when talking about other people's experiences, you don't need to say that you're having a hard time, but this person's having it worse. Other people can be struggling, and you can too in your own way. Others may be having unique challenges, different hardships, and you are having your own at the same time. You can feel angry, and you can feel grateful. You can feel scared, and you can feel inspired. You can feel productive, and you can feel overwhelmed at the same time. You can feel restless, and you can feel relieved. This pandemic can be really confusing because there's so many different factors at play all at once. And whenever possible, just try to allow yourself to have different emotions without putting one over another. I hope this helps for some of you. I hope it resonates, and I hope you're able to take care of yourself. Please reach out whenever you can. We're here for you. Take care.